Dealers are sounding the alarm. 2025 is shaping up to be the hardest year Harley's faced in decades. Across the country, shipments are being cut, floor models are stacking up unsold, and the whispers have started collapse. 7 longtime Harleys are being erased from the catalog before 2026 even begins. These aren't just bikes, they're pieces of the brand's soul, fading one by one under fluorescent lights. In this video, we're breaking down why dealerships are falling first, which models are next to go, and what it means for the riders who built this company mile after mile. Stick around till the end, because the final bike on this list will shock even the most loyal Harley rider. Number 7. Harley-Davidson 48. It once stood for something simple, raw, and unmistakably American. It was the gateway to Harley ownership, a stripped-down piece of metal built for riders who wanted nothing but torque, style, and the open road. For decades, this machine carried the spirit of rebellion through city streets and small-town highways. It wasn't about luxury or long hauls, it was about attitude. But as the years rolled by, that attitude started costing more than most new riders could justify. For many riders, those numbers used to spell the perfect entry point into the Harley family. It was affordable, reliable, and easy to wrench on. The 548 wasn't built for speed, it was built for soul. It carried the echoes of the 60s and 70s, when chrome meant character and simplicity was power. But today, that very simplicity has become its greatest weakness. Modern riders demand more than nostalgia. They want modern comfort, smart safety systems, and engines that run cool under city heat. The 548 doesn't offer that. Its air-cooled motor runs hot in traffic, its suspension feels harsh on rough roads, and its range barely stretches beyond 100 miles before needing a refill. In a world where even mid-range cruisers offer adjustable ride modes and digital displays, the 548 feels stuck in another time. That used to be its charm. Now it's a liability. Dealers know it. Some have rows of these bikes sitting unsold, collecting dust under fluorescent lights. The younger crowd that once admired its peanut tank and slammed stance has shifted to lighter, tech-rich machines. The older generation that once rode these, for their simplicity, now sees them as toys, not tools. And as Harley continues to move toward modern engines and global markets, the 548 is being quietly left behind. It still sounds good, there's no denying that classic bark when you crack the throttle. But nostalgia alone can't keep a model alive. The 548 represents an era when Harley didn't have to explain itself. Today, every sale has to justify its price, and the competition doesn't wait. Powering the Harley-Davidson 48 is the air-cooled Evolution V-twin engine, displacing 1,202 cubic centimeters. It delivers approximately 65 horsepower and 73 pound-feet of torque through a 5-speed manual transmission. The braking system pairs dual front discs with a single rear disc, backed by a modern anti-lock braking setup, while suspension duties are handled by conventional telescopic forks up front and coilover shocks at the rear. The bike tips the scales at about 556 pounds in running order, with a seat height of 28 inches. The starting price remains around $12,299. If you're still here, you're part of the crew that actually cares. Hit that like button and subscribe to keep real rider discussion alive. Jump into the comments. What's your honest wrench side opinion on Harley's future? Number 6. Harley-Davidson Nightster S. The model was built to prove that Harley could move into the modern age without losing its roar. It came in sleek, compact, and tech-heavy, aimed at riders who wanted performance with personality. On paper, it looked like progress. On the road, it became something else entirely, a reminder that not every new idea fits the old soul of the brand. It produces around 121 horsepower from a 1,252 cubic centimeter Revolution Max engine, delivering roughly 94 pound-feet of torque through a 6-speed transmission. Suspension setup features a Showa inverted front fork and twin coil-over rear shocks with preload adjustment. Wet weight measures about 502 pounds, seat height stands at around 27.8 inches, and the starting price comes in at about $16,400. Those numbers should have made it a favorite among younger riders and veterans alike. Lightweight, quick, and efficient. It checked boxes Harley had ignored for decades. But what it offered in power, it lacked in character. The Nightster rides smooth, but it doesn't speak the same language as the bikes that built the company. It hums instead of growls, purrs instead of thunders. For many riders, that silence cuts deeper than the price tag. The sound, the feel, and the ritual of vibration, gone in the pursuit of refinement. In the dealership, it sits between two worlds. Too modern for the traditionalists, too traditional for the sport crowd. Harley's marketing calls it the next generation of freedom, but the riders who live that word know freedom has weight, rhythm, and imperfection. The Nightster's perfect engineering stripped away some of that imperfection, and with it, the connection. Veterans who spent years tuning carburetors and adjusting timing say this new machine feels like a stranger wearing familiar colors. It's fast, yes, but speed was never the heart of Harley. What mattered was presence, the kind that made people turn their heads before the bike even passed by. The Nightster doesn't carry that same aura. It's efficient, precise, and clinical in a way that feels more laboratory than garage. Out on the road, it does everything right. But every mile reveals a gap between the rider and the machine. For an older rider who remembers long nights fixing push rods under a dim bulb, this is progress that forgot the people who got Harley here in the first place. Harley wanted the Nightster to be the bridge to a new era, but bridges go both ways, and not enough riders crossed it. While dealers struggle, make sure your setup's solid gear and accessories I ride with are linked below. Number 5. Harley-Davidson Street Bob 114. The Street Bob has always been the no-nonsense cruiser in Harley's lineup. Stripped bare, blacked out, and ready for any stretch of asphalt, it carried the attitude of old-school riding without needing to shout. For many years, it was the working man's Harley lean, fast, and simple. But lately, the Street Bob feels like a reminder that even rebellion can be priced out of reach. Those are strong numbers for a cruiser this compact, and the Street Bob still looks the part. A modern nod to the stripped-down customs that made Harley famous in the 70s and 80s. It has the right stance, the right thump, and that unmistakable rumble when the throttle cracks open. But for many longtime riders, what once felt raw now feels restrained. The bike's price has climbed, while the simplicity that made it special is fading under electronics and emission controls. The heart is still there, but it beats through filters and firmware instead of fuel and grit. On the road, the Street Bob rides better than ever, smooth, predictable, and surprisingly comfortable for long hauls. Yet, for riders who remember wrenching on carburetors and setting timing by feel, it can seem almost too polite. The new tech makes it faster and safer, but also more distant. What used to be a conversation between man and machine has become more like a polite exchange. That change matters to those who came up riding when every mile was earned through noise, heat, and muscle. Dealers still praise it as one of the most balanced Harleys you can buy. But some quietly admit that sales are slowing. The younger crowd isn't rushing to dealerships for a $16,000 cruiser. And the veterans who once kept the brand alive already have their dream bikes sitting in the garage. For the middle generation riders who want tradition without complication, the Street Bob sits in a strange middle ground. It's not cheap enough to be a gateway and not advanced enough to lure the tech-hungry crowd. The truth is, the Street Bob remains a solid machine built with the right ingredients. But the world around it has changed. It's a relic of when Harley still made bikes for riders who valued feel over flash. And that's the challenge. It still has heart, but it's running out of audience. The Street Bob 114 runs on the Milwaukee 8 114 V-twin engine, displacing 1,868 cubic centimeters. It generates about 94 horsepower and 119 pound-feet of torque through a 6-speed transmission. braking is managed by dual front discs and a single rear disc, supported by an anti-lock braking system. With a wet weight of approximately 655 pounds and a seat height of 26.8 inches, it remains one of Harley's most balanced cruisers. The starting price sits near $16,999. Number 4. Harley-Davidson Fatboy 114. It has always been more than a motorcycle. It is an icon of power, weight, and unmistakable attitude. Born in the early 90s and made famous on the silver screen, it became the poster bike for American muscle on two wheels. Wide tires, thick forks, and that solid disc wheel design gave it a look that made everything else seem small. But lately, even the mighty Fatboy has been feeling the pressure. What once stood for dominance is now struggling to stay relevant in a market chasing agility, efficiency, and comfort. The numbers still speak of muscle, but the experience has changed. The Fatboy's bulk, once a badge of honor, now works against it in an age where riders value versatility and ease of control. Its massive front tire, wide stance, and heavy build make it solid on highways, but demanding in tight corners or slow city rides. It remains a showstopper on Main Street, but for many riders, it has become more of a display piece than a daily partner. That realization stings, especially for those who remember when the Fatboy was the very definition of a power cruiser. The styling remains pure Harley chrome, shining like armor, fenders sculpted like muscle, and that deep, thundering exhaust note that still turns heads. Yet beneath all that steel lies a reminder that nostalgia alone cannot pay the bills. Dealers see it too. The Fatboy draws attention in the showroom, but closing a sale takes longer every year. The price tag stretches out of reach for younger riders, and older riders who once worshipped its silhouette are starting to favor lighter, more manageable options for longer rides. Out on the open road, the Fatboy remains steady and confident, a rolling statement of defiance. But it also feels like a machine from another time, a monument to when motorcycles were built to intimidate first and perform second. There is beauty in that, but also a warning. If the company cannot find a way to balance heritage with evolution, even the strongest names will eventually bend. The Harley-Davidson Fatboy 114 draws its strength from the Milwaukee 8 114 engine, boasting a displacement of 1,868 cubic centimeters. It produces around 94 horsepower and 119 pound-feet of torque, delivered through a 6-speed transmission. The suspension system includes a Showa dual bending valve front fork and a hidden rear monoshock with hydraulic preload adjustment. Weighing approximately 699 pounds, with a seat height of 25.9 inches, it carries a starting price of about $21,499. For many, the Fatboy still carries pride. It is a bike that commands respect, both from those who ride it and those who remember what it meant. But behind that pride is an unspoken truth. The market no longer revolves around brawn alone. If you want the truth about where Harley's heading and which bikes might not make it past 2026, make sure you're subscribed right now. The next part of this story will change how you look at the brand forever. Number 3. Harley-Davidson Road Glide. Known for its fixed shark nose fairing and confident road presence, it was the kind of machine that made cross-country travel feel like a statement rather than a trip. Every mile under its wheels told a story of freedom, endurance, and unmistakable American pride. But lately, that crown has started to slip. The world that once worshipped size and chrome now demands balance, technology, and efficiency. The Road Glide still carries authority, but it is fighting hard to keep it. Those numbers tell part of the story, but not the whole truth. On paper, the Road Glide remains a highway monster built for the iron butt crowd. But on showroom floors, the story is different. Dealers are finding that the same features that once defined strength weight, size, and price now define hesitation. Younger riders glance at it, appreciate it, and then move on to lighter adventure bikes or tech-rich imports. Even some longtime Harley loyalists admit that as their knees and backs start to complain, the 800-pound mark feels more like an obstacle than an accomplishment. The Road Glide still commands respect when it rolls into a parking lot, and that fixed fairing still slices through the wind with authority. Its boombox infotainment system, refined over the years, continues to deliver crisp sound and practical navigation. But comfort and tech alone cannot hide the fact that the model lineup has aged. Many riders call it the best touring platform Harley ever built, yet few argue it needs a full redesign to compete in a world where electric touring and adaptive suspension are redefining expectations. The Road Glide remains a legend, but legends do not sell as easily as they used to. The true challenge is emotional. For riders who remember the golden days of the twin-cam touring era, the Road Glide feels like the last survivor of a breed that once ruled American highways. It is familiar, dependable, and proud, but also expensive, heavy, and less adaptable to changing rider lifestyles. The freedom it symbolizes still resonates. But for the first time in its history, that freedom comes with hesitation instead of certainty. The Road Glide is powered by the Milwaukee 8 117 5-twin engine, displacing 1,923 cubic centimeters. It produces roughly 115 horsepower and 130 pound-feet of torque, channeled through a 6-speed cruise drive transmission. The suspension features Showa dual bending valve front forks and premium low-profile rear shocks with hydraulic preload adjustment. With a wet weight of about 855 pounds and a seat height of 27.4 inches, the Road Glide starts at approximately $26,849. Number 2. Harley-Davidson Pan America 1250 ST. This model was Harley's declaration of independence from its own traditions. When it first rolled out, it wasn't just another motorcycle. It was a statement that Harley could build a world-class adventure machine to compete with European and Japanese rivals. For decades, the brand was tied to blacktop and chrome, but this time they went off-road. Pan America looked like the future, sounded like progress, and promised a rebirth for Harley. Yet, a few years later, that promise feels uncertain. Those specifications are impressive, and on paper, the Pan America rivals anything from BMW or Triumph. It is fast, balanced, and surprisingly agile for its size. It climbs mountain trails, carves canyon roads, and eats interstate miles without hesitation. The Revolution Max engine roars with a modern sharpness that no air-cooled Harley could ever match. For riders who once wished Harley would build something daring, the Pan America delivered in full. But despite its brilliance, it never fully found its audience. The problem isn't performance, it's perception. Pan America broke too far from Harley's DNA. The loyal touring crowd saw it as a foreign experiment, while younger adventure riders saw it as a late arrival to a game already dominated by others. It was caught between worlds, wearing the wrong badge for both. For every rider who praised its power and versatility, there were 10 who asked why a Harley needed to look like a spaceship. And while its adjustable suspension and heated grips earned admiration, its price kept many from making the leap. Dealers faced a tough sell. In regions where dirt roads and long trails were part of the culture, the Pan America held some ground. But in the rest of the country, where most Harleys live on pavement, it sat under bright lights, waiting for the rare buyer who wanted both heritage and high-tech adventure. Many of those bikes still sit unsold today, admired more for engineering than for emotion. The brand that built its reputation on chrome and thunder suddenly had a quiet contender that few riders knew how to feel about. The Harley-Davidson Pan America 1250 ST is equipped with a liquid-cooled Revolution Max, displacing 1,252 cubic centimeters. It delivers an impressive 150 horsepower and 94 pound-feet of torque through a 6-speed gearbox. Weighing approximately 569 pounds, with an adjustable seat height ranging from 31.1 to 33.1 inches, it begins at around $17,699. The Pan America 1250 ST remains a mechanical masterpiece, a bold step toward the future that perhaps came too late. It proved Harley can innovate, but it also showed how fragile identity can be when heritage meets reinvention. The next motorcycle on this list carries none of that confusion-only legacy, pride, and the weight of being the company's most iconic machine, fighting to stay alive in a changing world. Number 1. Harley-Davidson Street Glide. The model has carried the Harley banner longer than almost any other touring machine still on the road. It is the benchmark for American long-distance comfort. A motorcycle that once defined what it meant to own a piece of freedom on two wheels. For decades, it symbolized success, maturity, and pride-rolling proof that a rider had earned his miles the hard way. But today, that same icon stands at a crossroads. The Street Glide still turns heads, still dominates highway shoulders, but under the weight of rising prices, aging tech, and shifting markets, it has become the most vulnerable legend in Harley's stable. Those are respectable numbers for a touring bike, but the story behind them reveals why this machine now finds itself in trouble. The Street Glide was once the gold standard for the weekend highway, warrior loud, luxurious, and loaded with presence. Today, however, it is facing stiff competition from within and outside its own brand. The same qualities that made it great size, stance, and sound now make it feel dated in an era obsessed with technology, lightness, and value. Riders who once lined up to buy it new are holding on to older models instead, claiming they ride just as well for half the cost. In Harley dealerships, the Street Glide still commands the spotlight, yet sales have softened. Many loyalists balk at a nearly $30,000 price tag before upgrades. And those who do buy often customize immediately, chasing a look or feel they used to get straight from the factory. Even with modern updates to infotainment and lighting, riders say the core hasn't changed much since the twin cam days. Its heart beats strong, but its rhythm feels too familiar for some, not familiar enough for others. The younger generation sees it as their father's dream bike, not theirs. The old guard sees it as a corporate product, wearing the right colors but missing the spark. Still, for all its challenges, the Street Glide remains the soul of Harley's touring identity. Its lines are unmistakable, its stance unshakable, and its sound, when tuned just right, still feels like an anthem for the open road. But icons cannot survive on nostalgia forever. The Street Glide stands at a defining moment, evolve or risk becoming a museum piece, while others claim the future. The Harley-Davidson Street Glide is powered by the Milwaukee 8 114V twin engine, displacing 1,868 cubic centimeters. It produces close to 95 horsepower and 122 pound-feet of torque sent through a 6-speed cruise drive transmission. Suspension components include Showa dual bending valve front forks and premium rear emulsion shocks with hydraulic preload adjustment. The bike carries a wet weight of roughly 829 pounds, offers a seat height of 26.1 inches, and starts at approximately $27,949. For those who still swing a leg over its saddle, it remains a declaration of loyalty to freedom, to legacy, to an era when bikes were built to move both man and spirit. Yet even loyal riders are asking the same question: how long can a legend keep its crown when the road itself keeps changing? So, here's the truth. Harley's story isn't over, but it's changing fast. The bikes that built the legend are slipping away, one model at a time, and the dealers feel it first. If you've ever felt that old heartbeat in your hands, hit that like button to keep these stories alive. Drop a comment below. What's in your garage, and which Harley do you think deserves to survive past 2026? And if you believe real riders still matter, make sure you subscribe. because the next video tells the truth the dealers won't.